Joining me now with more is Dan Gainor from the Media Research Center. So Dan, what's your reaction to this latest audit from Facebook? Are you surprised at all?
Surprised, no. Disappointed, yes. Here we are. It's been more than a year that Senator John Kyle was doing supposedly a similar audit of conservatives. We've heard no hide nor hair of that. But this is the second time we've seen Facebook wrap its arms around the product of the former head of the ACLU and 90 liberal groups, all getting basically control of the most powerful social media company in the history of mankind.
What are some concerns over the civil rights audit, knowing conservative experts were not included?
Well, first of all, calling it civil rights is one of those one of those misnomers. They're leftist groups. That's what it is. And what this audit did is it gives them control of every aspect of Facebook organization. It creates sort of what they call a civil rights infrastructure, and the overarching across the entire organization, everything from content, the product itself, advertising, and even human relations. So basically, the hiring and firing. This is an organization that's already stocked with liberals, and now liberals are going to control more of who they hire.
What can Facebook do to make some positive changes for not just conservatives, but also liberals?
Well, I mean, I think they should embrace the Free Speech Alliance, which the MRC heads up. My boss, Brent Bozell, heads up, has more than 50 conservative organizations, members of it. And we call for several things of transparency and such. But if you sum it up into the fourth item that we call for, and that is for them to embrace the ideals of the First Amendment. We know that constitutionally, I don't have a right, you don't have a right to be on Facebook. But if they were to embrace the ideal of the First Amendment, then free speech becomes more important to them than safety. And so we can all be offended, but we can all actually still have our free speech online, free speech and freedom of religion and freedom of press, all the things that are in the First Amendment.
So as they fight this new initiative of hate speech, talk about the pressure that this puts on Facebook's moderators.
Well, what's happened is there's global pressure, first of all, that there's numerous organizations or numerous countries that have teamed up with these social media companies to try to restrict speech following the horrific terror attack in New Zealand. And so now what they've done, they've assigned certain key moderators to only look at hate speech. But remember, a lot of what they're doing here is they're saying now they're going to go after not just so-called white nationalism, but they're going after anything that looks like that. Well, according to the left, anybody who voted for Donald Trump, 60-some million Americans, well, then, according to the left, many of the organizations that Facebook is probably consulting with, they consider that to be hate speech, rooting for Donald Trump. So that's the danger here. Once you start censoring in bulk like they're doing, there's no end to it.
Yeah, real quickly, last few seconds, where else have you seen this kind of obvious bias?
Oh, well, all the major tech companies are like this, varying degrees. Twitter's the worst. Google and YouTube have problems. So Facebook naturally has problems as well.
And as always, pleasure to have you on the show, and a happy 4th to you.
Thank you. Happy